First, what I would like to start to thank Krista for this really good presentation on like really the basics on this like product service thinking, combining those, and also on the business model side. And it will really help you to also understand our result, because all these things will come back. And I also want to thank Vinit for his part of introduction, because it already showed in some way where all these findings will come from now, and also some gave some insight about what we were looking at. And now it will really be about like selling advanced product services. Basically, okay, we have decided now this is really something we want to do, and we want to sell this, and there are a lot of things to think around it. But I would like to start with this slide actually showing that it's something that's really a good idea to work with this more advanced product services on a bigger level. And this, I'll come over here. And this is basically a slide where it was looked at the financial performance for companies that have already worked with it. And it's a study done by our colleagues. And when you just start with this like really easy basic services, of course there is some value in it, but like from a financial performance, you cannot really see that that you will do so much better. But when it gets more advanced, you really can see that there is like a financial benefit from that, and the company performance will really become better. And at the current point of time, it might be that this more little bit easier one with maintenance and product service, that they have maybe the best impact on financial performance. But I think in the trend we can see that maybe those more advanced ways, talking about R&D and more this even more functional services, that they might be more complex, but there is of course much more potential. So I think if you're doing it really right, you have the opportunity to get really good financial outputs there. So I think this picture really shows that's something we really should talk of, and that we should talk about and should work with and think of. But of course, it's a really good idea. But as already like Krista also talked, it's like there's always a lot of challenges that are involved in this. I don't want to go into all of that, and especially like the managing of conflicting logics. Already Krista was talking about that. Yeah, they're thinking so much in products, but then okay, how to integrate this with services, and also this when it gets more advanced and you really need to integrate these products and services, you need to adapt the product basically on the service that you want to offer, and that's like not easy communication wise, and I think it's quite clear that it is really difficult, and that there are a lot of challenges. And I think those next three I want to go a little bit more into detail, and also that we have worked with them and try to get some help and some solution on how you can look at those ones. So starting with developing a new business model, and Krista has really good introduced this topic, and I think it's really what you will need. You really need to think about the overall business model, how it has changed, because you will have so different responsibility when offering services related to the product, that it is really something that you need to think of. And one thing that we were looking at is basically that when you have decided on, okay, now we want to integrate services to our products, then there are a lot of activities that are ongoing inside the companies, and there are a lot of people somewhere spread around the organization doing things and working with this, introducing and developing this product service offer then. And there are some activities working with, okay, we take over responsibility from our customers, we will do things for them or taking things that they have done before. But of course, we also want to improve the resource utilization and getting done things more efficiently, and we will work with how to deliver the things like internal or external. And also, of course, we have to think of how can we make value out of this, and that it's not just giving services for free and think of, okay, maybe we get out some money afterwards based on spare parts or increased product sales and something like that. And basically ongoing, and they are quite often, that's really good that things are ongoing, and I think it's the trend and companies are aware of that. But what we could really see within the companies was that those activities are not aligned to a common goal. And it basically can look at the alignment within those like activities that are related to value creation, for example, that of course there's value created taking over activities from the customer. For example, you say, okay, we will secure some type of availability that you don't have to care about this. But on the other hand, to be able to do that, then we maybe need to increase like stock of spare parts or something like that. So we would basically destroy the value that is like thought from coming from reducing the resources. And I think it's really important to think that all the different activities that are meant to create value, for example, and also for the other categories, that they are directed into a way that they will create like a common value, like, and maximize the overall value, that it is not like one value is created here and one there, but in the end they will offset each other. So that all those activities should be really meant to have to maximize the overall value and create, or in the other categories, those together. So that is really important that is work, and that is also, I think, this business model concept that Chris has introduced as well, to divide the offers into that you have to create value and you have to deliver it to the customer in some way, and you have to capture it in the end. It really helps you to identify what activities are ongoing and what we are actually working with, and have it as a unit of analysis in some way. Okay, what are we actually doing? And we really need to do all three of those. And then the misalignment in some way is within those categories, but it's also, of course, you need to have alignment between all three of this. It's maybe even more important, because if you just like create a lot of value and then you maybe also even you're able to deliver it to the customer, then you still need to make some money out of it. And I think it's, to make this be really successful, this product service thing, it should be visible that you get value out of it. It should not only be like, oh yeah, then we earn a lot more money from spare parts, or we will have more loyal customers. And it should, because if you don't show that you're really actually capturing value here as well, it might be just marketing like things about this, like, yeah, we create some extra value and convincing them about that. So this thinking actually ended up in some type of framework where you have like some horizontal alignment that should happen within those, and you have, of course, vertical alignment among those that you really should think of. And when looking at this different type of alignment that is needed, we also it comes up, of course, which type of misalignment are they, and the misalignment is not always the same. I think they are, when you look at those different activities, then it can be come up with different alignment problems. It can be that some activities are just missing or disregarded, and they can be just deficient, that some is not good enough to really level up and to maximize the overall value, and it can just be that they are disconnected in some way, that they are not doing the same. It could be, an example can be with those revenue models, that if you charge like an equal fee over the whole time, and then you have you offer availability for a machine, of course it will not break so much in the beginning, but in the end probably much more, and the cost will be higher. So in some way, those risk management that you have, where you have a portfolio or something, should of course be in line with those revenue models, that you probably save a lot of the money from the beginning and spread that over. So I just really want you to think about this alignment. You should think in these three categories, that you need to make up all of them and to maximize the. The next challenge I want to address and maybe give you some solution would be risk management. And I think it's really a hot topic. Everyone is talking about risk, and it of course also connects to challenges. And basically, there are three main risk categories that we could find out that are really important when looking into this advanced product services. And one is this most easy one, so common one is like technical risk, where it is really about just like breakdown. Something will break, and you are responsible, or in quite some of those offerings, you will be responsible much more for everything that is happening with the product or the that you provide. And just things can just break, and you just have to think of, okay, how big is the impact of that, and how big is the risk. But what is also coming much more is, of course, that you monitor all the things, and you are relying on this connecting machines or connectivity of everything and information sharing. But there is, of course, it's quite easy that things happen. We just saw that in the US last week, that it's quite easily happened. And oh no, we don't have internet or no server capacity or anything. So I think it's there, and it's quite easy to grasp what that can be, but you really need to think of that. And then the next step would be more like a delivery competence risk, that actually if you offer something, your company needs really to be able to deliver the things that you have promised your customer to offer. And then you also need to think of, okay, do we have a structure to do that? Do we have capabilities or resources? And how complex would that actually be? And would we be able to do that? And so I think that's also new things come for this product services, that it's not only product sale anymore than we are done, so it's much more like the time after that. And then the third category is something, it's really interesting and it's really important to think of, and I think people don't really think of, but if you like ask after that, everyone can come up with some type of example for that, and that is this behavioral risk thing, where it's really, when you enter this of thinking of product services and taking over responsibly, you can easily expect that, or ending up with expecting that the customer will behave in exactly the same way as before, and that might be the case when it is trusted customers that you have worked with a long time, and they will do in a good way, but it's not so sure that they will do. It can be just careless behavior because now I have this service subscription, of course I don't need to care so much. If it's break, then the provider will take care of that. Or it could be opportunistic behavior. Yeah, of course, then I behave differently, so I get out most of the value from what I pay for. And it could also be like adverse selection, that I will just sign up for this service agreement for products, or for like in cases where I know that there will be problems and so on, and then the provider will end up with a really unbalanced portfolio and will have bad deals for that. And of course we have all this risk, and then you can think of risk responses. So I think risk doesn't need to be a bad thing, and it's like, of course there's value in it when taking over this risk and taking on the risk themselves, but then of course you need to take this step and think about risk responses. And those risk responses, they are like from basic risk management literature, and then adapted to this setting. And I think the first one would be like more risk avoidance, that you really try to, it's not about not offering product services, but really not to take so much responsibility if you are not able to handle those risks. And then it can be risk reduction, where it is more about monitoring and have extra stock of equipment and so on, to really reduce the risk and see that it's will not have the high impact. And then of course you can transfer and share risk, where it is sharing probably with the customer in some way, and also or transferring to an insurance company. And then you have risk retention, where it's basically you price the risk and then you charge accordingly to it. And it's more where when you really can see how big the risk will be. And based on this idea about like which risk do we have and which responsibilities we will have, we developed some type of decision tree. And I just have check how much time I have. Not so much. And I think it's really I have divided a little bit. I think this decision tree will really help you to guide somewhere. Okay, where are we? Are we able to handle certain types of risks or not? And you will get those slides. You basically can try out if you if where you would end up with. And we start basically with the delivery competence risk, where you say, okay, are we actually able to handle those, to deliver the things that we have, or if not, do we basically have chances? But also, how is the market look like? Do we can charge some extra price for the risk we take over? When you answer no to some question, you may really already have your answer. If you don't able to deliver it, it might just be don't take so much responsibility then before you have developed capabilities. Or if you don't able to charge anything extra, you should really share this. So it can be like quite easy answers as well. And then it would walk on with like more technical risk if you actually know how your product is or your product service is behaving, and how big the impact would be for any breakdowns, and if you know what it will be. And they also, it might be, if you have like large financial impacts and breakdown, it might just be some sharing is the only solution for doing that. And as well, it would be, and the last one is more on the behavioral side, where this like risk retention, for example, might just be a good idea with a trusted company that you've known and not these new and standard ones. And of course, this looks really easy with this like real answers, but of course you could use like a combination of it. Of course you can return risk, but still try to reduce it on that side. Okay, and then the last challenge I want to address is more about managing networks. And I think networks is really important in this type of setting. So it will be, yeah, you will not be able to do this alone, just like, oh, I produce my thing and then it will just go out and I will sell it. So you are so much reliant on all the suppliers and all the customers, all the distributors, and especially in these global settings. If you're manufacturing somewhere, you will need those global distribution network to sell it, and you will you will really need third-party providers for example, like remanufacturing, or also just all this IT things related to it. So, and what we actually looked in is more when you want to offer this out there, it's quite common nowadays that you, as also Christy was pointing at, that it's like with his errors. So you try to push out those things, and you try to you're able to develop something really, really good, and then you say, okay, here market, you get it, so do whatever you want with it. But it's really important that the first step, the distributor network, as we looked here, is really want to have that, and always they are, of course, the connecting to the customers. They know what the customers will have, and so if you want to offer successful these product services, then you really need to make sure that the distributor network, and then after that the customer really wants to have that and is adopting those business models that you give them. And I think it's really important to look on the differences out there, that how ready are they and how mature are they for really starting using this product services, or are they still in the stage where they just want to have the product and then they want to do everything themselves. And one thing that is quite good to do here is to look, okay, which different which different actors do we have in the distributor network, and based on this adoption and diffusion models, we divided into basically three categories of different maturity or readiness, and it's early adopters, majority, and laggards, the ones that are heading behind. And you can categorize them based on what they are actually offering right now. You can find out how good are they doing, and also on the characteristics to have an idea of why they end up in the maturity level that they are right now. And here's just an example. We're doing this together with the Volvo Construction Equipment, and then it's like a lot of different offers, and you can find out, okay, those ones that are early adopters, they are doing quite a lot and advanced things of that. But the laggards, they are just like doing the most easiest thing, and they are really reactive and so on. So I think it would help you to find out, okay, how ready are they? This is a distributor network. And the same can happen with the different type of characteristics that you can find out from your dealers. Just asking them, okay, how is it going with you? How is it going with service offering? And there is some dealer capabilities, for example, as just the willingness and ability to invest in services. If it is really low, of course, it might be really hard for them to getting them from laggards to be also much more into the majority, because that's what you want. You want to have everyone working more like really adopting those things, and their customer-related characteristics as well. Where it is, of course, if you have, in Volvo's case, we were talking with people from Australia, and it's so far away to go to the customer, so it might just not be feasible to offer like some maintenance contracts where you just go there all the time, because it might take 2 days to travel, and then you have to think of, okay, that might be the reason why they are not offering those. But of course, things about telematics, of course, they can offer to those customers as well, and it doesn't need to be so linear. So with like customer sizes, might be that the smallest are too small and the biggest are too big, but then there might be some sufficient size on that, and they also market-related characteristics on that. And basically what you can up with, like thinking of this, is that you have those different types of dealers or a distributor network, and then you can come up with support mechanisms. How can you really support them? And then you also, again, you see this business model thinking here, that you have value creation and value delivery and value capturing, and how you really can support them and help them. And the legates, they would need like more basic help. They would need promotion, and they would need like helps and really hands-on help with like what they do, and they would need incentives and insurances for that. And the majority would also still need quite some support, more on like the ICT tools and trainings, and maybe something to make sure that that you will not lose a lot of money for doing that, but most probably will win things on that. But also the early adopters, they still need support to develop even more, so it might be that they should be part of pilot studies just to move on even further. And I think it's really good thinking like that to find out where are you, and especially in this global setting. And of course it's important to create this type of common vision for all of them, that we are now selling solutions or a service provider for that. Then I just have some concluding remarks left, that is about that selling advanced product service globally is complex and challenging, but it's possible to get good answers there. And and it's about the 3 topics, like then to align those activities that you're doing, and to think of the risk, but also think risk management, and there are good risk responses that you can do, and really to think of what is the distributor and customer want, and how can you help them adopting these things that you want them to adopt. I say thank you, and open up for some questions. And we would be really happy if you contact me if you have any detailed questions, so I can I will help you with that. Do we have any questions? Okay.
It was super clear.
That's a good sign. Yeah.